Welcome back to Scuderia Ferrari Racing News. After the Malaysian Grand Prix, the team has already reached Shanghai. But let's hear the first impressions after Sepang race with Stefano Domenicali, team principal.
I think that we bring home not the point that we should have taken back, considering that we've seen two things that are pretty different. One is the performance in qualifying that was not really at the highest level, and we see that there is still a gap to catch from our main competitors. And the second, positive, the fact that during the race the pace was really good, and we were really fighting on that respect with our main competitors. This is something that we need to consider looking ahead. It's a shame that unfortunately for basically two things that happened, one to Felipe at the pit stop and the second to Fernando, with the collision with Lewis, we didn't bring home, as I said, what we should have taken back. But this is where we are now, and I think that we should consolidate the fact that at home we need to have a big push in understanding the reason on our lack of performance, mainly in qualifying. We need to push a lot in order to bring back the upgrade in terms of aero development, because at the end of the day, all is around aerodynamics in terms of global performance. And the other thing is keep on understanding the best way to use the tires, because this is another element we've seen today during the race that makes the difference. And on that respect, I have to say that the other positive element that we bring home is the way that we have managed the strategy. I think that on that respect we were all okay, all fine. And let's put it this way, I think a lot of things to do, a lot of work, but still a long way to go to arrive at the end. I've seen Felipe going back to his standard. I'm very pleased for him, for the team. And Fernando is always aggressive, so that's the way that our drive should really behave. We will try. I mean, we'll try to bring as quickly as possible, if it's really possible, the upgrades that we need. But mainly, we need to understand once again, and that will be the last Grand Prix, and then we need to change the direction of development. The reason why we don't have the performance that we should have, and this is what we see on the wind tunnel, and that's once again the other priority that we have to close in China. I think that it's not a matter of if I like or not like, or if I like or I don't like, sorry. But I think that is for sure an element that will be added to the fact that the guys are always under pressure. The possibility of mistakes are bigger, and so the relative performance at the end of the race is a package, driver, and also team. So that's something that for sure is changing the approach of the race. I think that we need to consider car by car. It's different, of course, but on that respect, on our situation, I think that is enhancing our performance. In the race, you can use to attack or to defend. So I think it's a good element of the show. Chinese market is really a strategic market for us. The growth that we had in the last years is incredible, and also for this reason, we have in front of us a very important weekend.
Let's take a whole lap of the Shanghai circuit with Marc Genet, Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro test driver.
Chinese Grand Prix is usually a Grand Prix where engine is demanded a lot. It has one of the longest straights where it's going at 19 or close to 19,000 RPM for a very long time. So that's going to be very demanding for the shale oil, and because we need to have an engine that lasts long at very high rest for a long time. And it's also a difficult race to prepare because it usually rains and it's usually very cold, and that's something not very common for the whole year.
Let's try to find out the secrets of the telemetry. We talked to an expert, Dieter Guntel, head of race electronics.
On a Formula One car, we have a lot of sensors that measure everything from speed, temperature, pressure. And in order to get these data from the car to the garage and back home to Maranello, where the data are analyzed, we use a wireless transmission of this information from the car to the garage, and this is called telemetry. Telemetry is like a stream of data that transmits all the data with variable bandwidth. So important data that change very fast are transmitted very fast and very often, and less important data that don't change so often are transmitted correspondingly less. The more details you want to analyze, the more important it is that you have faster data and that you have data with higher resolution. So yes, there's a clear relationship between the details of the data and the result you can afterwards achieve from the data. On the garage side, obviously everything is computer-based, PC-based, and this is where we use our Acer products. So from the moment where we receive the data are first archived in a corresponding computer structure. Then the data are distributed to the PCs of the various experts that look for different aspects of the data. And in parallel, the data are then sent back home to Ferrari in Maranello, where there are even more experts that look into finer details. It's essential for various aspects. The first aspect is obviously to make sure that the car operates. So this is the diagnostic side, to see if everything works as expected, if there's a problem with something. The second aspect is the performance tuning. If you don't know what your car does, you cannot improve the performance of your car. And the third aspect, which is a little bit the long-term aspect, is what can you learn from the behavior of the car of today for next race, for next year's car, for the next development step. So there are various levels of data usage we are speaking about here. It is important in the sense of, first of all, you have to have access, easy access to the data. So we have a sort of a distributed storage. We have a storage, a pool of computers that store the data at the track. At the same time, we need the data back home here, so we use a high-speed network link to bring the data back home here, and then the data are available, archived back here in the factory at Ferrari for all the various groups that want to use it, and not only want to use it the day after the race, but want to compare it with last year's data with 3 years ago and whatsoever. We have a data center that has been developed and is maintained together with Acer, and as mentioned before, the storage and the availability of the data is very important, so it is very important to have this 100% operational 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's the center. Without this, the data cannot be used. On a car, the electronic side is an essential side, and the car would not run without electronic, and electronic would not be able to control the car without all the sensors on the car. We have in the order of 100, 120 physical sensors on the car that measure physical properties from temperature, speeds, pressures, and they are used for controlling the functions of the car, like gearbox, differential, and are used for performance optimization because they represent the state of the car under given circumstances. All this is connected on the car to central ECU using kilometers and kilometers of wire, and with the use of a telemetry system, a wireless transmission from the car to the garage, we have permanently access to thousands of channels and data in parallel and in real time. In real time means what happens on the car now is available a fraction of a second later in the garage and can be analyzed and can be responded to. Essential. If anything of this would not work, we would not even bother sending the car out, because just the car running without the information we gather while the car is running makes no sense any longer. We need the detailed information of a sensor, and we cannot rely on the driver saying everything is okay. Everything is okay means the car was running, but if it was doing what we expect, we can only learn from corresponding sensors and from the reading of the sensors. So if we don't have the information, we cannot run.
this is the end of the program. Follow us and see you next time.